So I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order, and we are going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I do have one correction to the agenda. We are going to remove the district assessment update from item 4, item B. Is there a motion to approve the agenda with that correction?
So moved.
Support.
Are there any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We'll move on to the approval of the consent agenda. The consent agenda consists of our January 8th organizational meeting minutes, our February 5th special board meeting minutes, February 12th special board meeting minutes, and the payment of the invoices. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
Support.
Are there any questions or discussion regarding the consent agenda? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to educational highlights. I will turn this over to Eagle Lake.
Good evening. I'd like to introduce Dawn Olaball and Patricia Leston. They're going to highlight the culture and professional staff at Eagle Lake.
Okay, so we found some quotes by Harry Wong that really depict our school culture. We feel that the greatest asset of a school is its people. Programs do not produce achievement, the teachers produce achievement. And the quality of a teacher in any school setting is the most critical component for improving student achievement. So here are all of us at the beginning of the year with the lovely sign that was provided by PTO. Eagle Lake, we maximize Eddie's potential through interdependent and synergetic staff relationships. We all have weaknesses and strengths, but we build on those and work together to provide a very productive working environment. Now, a lot of people think that the left side is what success really looks like, but in all actuality, the right-hand side is what really takes to make a successful path. And you start going up and you end up taking all these detours, and sometimes you fall back to push yourself forward. And we do that quite often. We all work together to get that success.
Stephen Covey says, the person who is truly effective has the humility and reverence to recognize his own perceptual limitations and to appreciate the rich resource available through the interaction with the hearts and minds of other human beings. As Mrs. Alabal stated, when we have success, there's questions, there's concerns, there's frustrations. But when you're able to be in an environment where you are valued and where you have permission to be curious and to investigate those curiosities, then that is where success is born. And so that is how we maximize our Eddie's potentials at Eagle Lake.
So we do a lot of building relationships. We have a lot of carry-ins. This was our breakfast that we just recently had for our Secret Cupid. And then we dress up as our teams for dress-up days. We have the multi-age team, and then there's the traditional third grade. We have some fun photos here on the bottom with our looping as well, and Mrs. Stein, she's a hoot. So. All hands on deck. So not just the teachers teach. We have Miss Molly, who is our custodian. She comes and works with kids as well. Mrs. Cleveland and all of our specials teachers. And we have Mr. Esseray. He's down here at the bottom. And then we have Mrs. Stein, she does a cookie for, we pick a student of the week each week. And so each month she invites all those students who are students of the week to come down and get a cookie. It has Eddie on it. And our librarian, and we have our music teachers, and even our aide who makes copies for us, Mrs. Dutton-Haver, she is right in the middle of it. She helps kids in the classroom as well. And she's out here on the swing set pushing one of our little guys. Our book vending machine, we love it. The kids love it. They love to read. There are our tests, and each month or each marking period, they get an opportunity to get a book of their own choice free from the book machine. We do the change drive every February, which we're in that right now through Thursday. And our change drive helps to get books to fill our book vending machine for the year. And it's done a wonderful job for us. And even in the community, I have a picture of Big B here. They have been collecting money. They did it last year as well. And they bring that in. So, and here's one of our little guys getting a book from the machine. They just love that.
So in addition to relationships, as I already said, we have permission to be curious and to ask questions. And so in the spring of 2023, our MTSS team had lots of questions. We brought different backgrounds to the table. And so we had lots of questions about what is MTSS? How is it defined here at Eagle Lake? And how can we have a common definition and then also create practices that help us to monitor student progress and so that we can support students. So the MTSS team came up with the MTSS framework, and this year we implemented this throughout the school for defining and supporting students so that we are sure that all students can continue to make growth. 9 teachers embarked upon a 2-year letters journey. This is offered through the Michigan Department of Education, and it provides very specific training on how the brain learns to read and best practices. And this goes from phonemic awareness all the way to comprehension and to including writing as well. And these teachers, through conversation, began to reflect on our Tier 1 English language arts. And from there, then, we reflected on what we were doing in our school and how we could enhance what we were doing. And our leader, Mrs. B. Crash, allowed us again to explore these things. And from there, we were able to create a curriculum map that honors several of these strands to create skilled readers that were not present before. And even though it's 9 people that started this conversation, which is about half of our teaching staff, the entire staff has embraced this and has embraced these conversations and has begun to implement various parts to support our students. In addition to beefing up our Tier 1, we really sought to align our Tier 2. Our Tier 2 is the intervention piece that we use. Our Tier 1 is our Wilson Foundations program. About 3/4 of our staff attended Orton Gillingham training, which helped us again to understand a little bit more of the phonics pieces. And then the teachers became more intentional about that in their classroom. We worked together with our Tier 1 instruction so that we're using common language. The students are seeing common text, and all of that is pushing our students to be able to make greater gains. Much thanks to Miss Lacey Parsons, who is also a third traditional teacher in our school and the president of the PTO, who has helped us to be able to have these Wilson readers so that our students have access to decodable text so that they can apply the phonics skills that they are learning. We had another new initiative this year, and that is Push and Title. The question was raised, we have all these teachers doing this high-tech training. Why don't we let those teachers work with the most fragile population? And so the teachers and the title team have somewhat flip-flop, where the title team goes in to provide intervention for students who need support. So we provide targeted intervention, but the certified teachers are the ones who are working and giving 20 to 30 minutes of very specific database support to our students who have the greatest need for that support. So ELA, Orton Gillingham, letters, we have these things that we just throw it out and do it. No, we continue the conversation. At Eagle Lake, all the staff members are valued. And so we have opportunities to talk with each other, to listen, And those questions and comments and feedback help us to reflect and continue to refine and continue to improve to maximize our Eddie's potential. Now, we know that we can't do it alone with just the staff. So we would like to give a special thank you to all the stakeholders and volunteers who come to Eagle Lake to work with our students. And then we also have some other Eagle Lake staff members here with us. And so we want to say thank you for you all for coming out as well. And then again, to our leader, Mrs. Beecraft, who helps create this culture of interdependence and of synergy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Lawson, Mrs. Alabal. Moving on to our items of business. The first item of the business is the Title III, Part A Immigrant Funds. Do you want to?
Yes. So in the past, this is what we've done is we have relinquished the Title III immigrant funds because we have been providing services, any of the services that any of our students who would qualify for that need anyway. And talking with Mrs. McGuire, looking forward to next year, our plan is to find a meaningful way to accept those funds and use them. Because of course, if we can do more for our kids, we should do more. But we didn't have the time frame allotted to come up with a meaningful plan. And we also didn't want to take funds that we didn't have a plan for. So that's why for this year, we will be sending those funds back. But the next year, we will have a plan so that we keep that with our immigrant students.
And this will require a roll call vote. Does anyone have any questions or concerns about giving back the grant? Hearing none. Tammy?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Natalie?
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
And Becky?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Next on our agenda is School of Choice. The 2024 deadline for opting in or out of School of Choice is June 1st, 2024. Would you like to speak to that?
Yes, so typically this has been brought to all of you next month, but we have moved up our kindergarten registration and we want to be able to capture any families who might be interested in attending here for have little kindergarten Eddies and be able to have that open so that we can start to count how many kindergartners we might have coming into the district next year. So that's why we are moving up the Section 105 and Section 105C. So Section 105 is within county. Section 105 is adjacent counties. For the tuition for out-of-state students, we will be coming back with that probably next month. We're waiting to see if we'll have a better idea of what the state foundation allowance will be before we bring that to the board.
Is there a motion to opt in for School of Choices, Section 105 and 105C?
So moved. Second.
Are there any questions or discussion regarding that? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. The next item of business is the MASB Board of Directors election. The Board of Education must vote for a candidate to represent Region 6 of the MASB Board of Directors. We've all been presented with the candidates. I would like to recommend that we vote for Miss Pamela Dickinson from Comstock Public Schools. Does anybody else have anybody else you would like to support?
She looks like she's done a great job. I have to say, to be fair, all of the people we were given seemed like excellent candidates. And it's a little challenging because we're given not a lot of information. So I support Pamela Dickinson as she's the incumbent, and I feel like I don't have any concerns, but I also don't have anything against the other two.
I agree. Is there anybody else you would like to nominate? Is there support for the nomination of Pamela Dickinson? Support. Okay, that would be a roll call vote. Mrs. Anson,
Yes.
Mr. Harris,
Yes.
Natalie, myself, yes.
Yes.
Okay, yes. We will vote for Miss Pamela Dickinson then. Moving on to personnel, the fun stuff. Again, to Eagle Lake, Mrs. Beecraft.
I would like to recommend the hiring of Cheyenne Henderson as a general education teacher at Eagle Lake. Cheyenne has been working in the multi-age classroom since the start of school. Mrs. Henderson graduated from Wright State University, where she earned a Bachelor of Applied Science in Public Health. You're probably thinking, like, how does that go together? Well, it does, kind of. After graduation, she realized she had a passion for children and felt a calling to pursue education, and she enrolled in one of Michigan's Teachers of Tomorrow. It's exciting to me. I think this is the first time we've hired a teacher from Teachers of Tomorrow in the Michigan program, so I would like to recommend that the board approve that.
Is there a motion to approve the hiring of Miss Cheyenne Henderson?
So moved.
Is there support?
Support.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations. Welcome to the family. Would you like to say anything, Mrs. Henderson? I'm just so excited to officially be an Well, we're very excited to have you. Moving on to our superintendent's report.
So, of course, I have to say that tomorrow is election day. So, hopefully, everyone will be able to get out and vote, whatever your vote may be. We, just as a reminder, have our non-homestead operating millage on the ballot. This is a renewal. So, this is the same operating millage that all the voters of Edwardsburg have voted on pretty much every year. Typically, it has been in May since 1994. We have moved that to the state in February so that moving forward we can be on a typical election cycle. And to do that, we had to make the change to put on the proposal of going to 3 years. And because of that, there has been a little confusion with the ballot language stating 19 mil. And really that's, as I've explained before, is kind of like a deferred little savings account that if there were to be a rollback during that 3-year time period, we wouldn't have to come back and ask the voters to approve the amount that we would need to get back to 18 mils, since the state of Michigan requires us to levy that on non-homestead properties to get our full foundation allowance per pupil. So when you see that number from the state, some of that is coming from that non-homestead millage to get that full amount. And in Edwardsburg, that equates to about $1,000 a student this year, so a little over 2.6 million. And that 2.6 million is operating expenses. So that is staff and materials for classrooms. It's not, it's not anything in addition. It's not building anything. So just as a reminder, if you can get out and vote, please do that, whatever your decision may be on our millage. And then on a more positive note, since we're staying on Eagle Lake as kind of a theme tonight, last week, for all of those of you who voted in a different way by getting on to vote for Eagle Lake for the I Love Reading Challenge, it was really cool to go out to the building and just see the excitement of the students, but also the teachers, because it is a great close-knit group of staff out there. And just all the kids were so excited, and it just was really cool. And then to see when the camera came out to interview 4 students, how you put a camera in front of somebody and everyone just kind of freezes. Like, I don't know what to say. But they did an amazing job. So hopefully everyone's been able to see that little segment. But that was really awesome with Eagle Lake. And then one kind of addition that I meant to do a thanks back in January, and it feels like it has been a really long time since then, even though we are only to our February meeting, is just to thank Culver's and Granger and their manager, Julian, for providing the board with some board appreciation. So they had reached out wanting to do that. They have reached out wanting to pretty much acknowledge any group that we have here in Edwardsburg. So they are also giving back and very supportive of all the things we do here. So I just wanted to give a little shout out to them as well.
Thank you very much. Moving on to subcommittee reports. Have we had any subcommittee meetings since? I didn't think so. Okay, moving on to questions and comments from the audience. Seeing none, we will move on to Mrs. Anson.
All right. I move to enter into closed session under Section 8C of the Open Meetings Act to discuss collective bargaining negotiations.
Is there support for that? Support. Are there any questions or discussion? Hearing none, this will be a roll call vote. Mrs. Anson?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Dr. Brents?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Mr. Kimbrell?
Yes.
And Mrs. Niemeyer?
Yes.
Okay. We will go into closed session. reconvene our regular meeting.
So moved.
Support. Is there any discussion? No. Will be a roll call vote as well. Becky?
Yes.
Yes.
Natalie?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Justin?
Yes.
Yes.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Oh, boy.
So
I don't
moved.
think there are any additional questions.
Is there any questions or discussion? All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye. Everybody, I won't be here on the 11th. I've got
Bye,
market order review. I told Chelsea if we started at 10.